Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here now that my two obligatory informative videos are done for the day. And today it was Q&A day and I have over 30 minutes of your questions being answered, so go check that out if you're interested in that. But for people who care about current events going on in the online fitness community, it's time to talk about that. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about Rich Piana's newest diet experiment. Now this one's interesting, and I think this is really interesting in light of the C.T. Fletcher revelation the other day. And the reason I say that, there's some indications with what Rich is doing. There's some indications here, because what Rich is doing, he's basically protein fasting, which means he's eating one meal of high protein a day. One high protein meal. Now, the diet he's following would actually be considered high protein by most authorities, but as far as sports sciences go, it's probably not ideal for a guy his size. It's actually a little on the low end as far as the nutritional experts go who work with real strength athletes. And then, of course, to the fitness community in the bodybuilding world, it's mind-bogglingly low. But keep in mind, most of those guys eat sometimes 2 or 3 times the amount of protein that's recommended for an NFL player or a gold medal winning Olympic lifter, things like that. So keep in mind that bodybuilders and a lot of the fitness community have been convinced that they need enormous amounts of protein that actually are way, way beyond, sometimes triple what they need to even gain muscle mass maximally. But Rich is, even by the more conservative estimates, it's a little bit low. Well, what exactly is he doing? He's eating 5 meals of white rice with spaghetti sauce on it every day. Right? Very easy on your digestive system, by the way. Sometimes white rice like that is actually part of certain diets. That's stuff you guys can look up yourself for certain medical issues like rice, bananas, things like that, and even chicken to some extent. There are special diets for that, and people can look that up themselves as what all that's used for. But he's eating very large amounts of white rice. In fact, something like 90% of his calories, 80 to 90% of his calories from white rice and spaghetti sauce. He's eating that 5 times a day. He's saying he's eating like 10 cups of rice. Pretty significant amount. I mean, I don't know whether he means dry cups, cooked cups, whatever, but we're talking about thousands of calories. No matter how you break it down, that's at least 3,000 calories of white rice. Every day, spread out over 5 meals, and he eats a 6th meal of lean protein, usually like chicken. And he's saying he's eating very, very low fat, I mean to the point of almost fat deficient. And he's saying he eats 80 grams of protein in the evening. Now keep in mind his rice has a little bit. There's probably in his rice 20, 30 grams of protein there, but not a lot. He's eating one protein meal, and he says about 80 grams, and what he said in the video, that's 60 to 100 grams. It's his 80 is just an estimate, so it's a roundabout. He's not measuring it perfectly. So, why does he say he's doing this? Well, part of it he leads with, well, I like to experiment on myself, and I like to do this. I like to self-experiment to see what would happen. You guys know I'm not a big fan of that. And the reason I'm not a fan is because why do we need to self-experiment sports nutrition? This is an area of science. There are experts who have top-level clients, meaning this is an area of science that there are billions of dollars tied up in. Sports is big, big, big money. All right, sports nutrition, what it takes to fuel the top athletes, give them ideal body composition, ideal performance, muscle gain, getting leaner. For athletes, this is very understood because there's so much money tied up in this that it actually, bodybuilding and all of that isn't even close. Bodybuilding has less than 1% of the money tied up in it that real sports do, okay, professional sports. There's big money involved in perfecting this stuff. It's well understood, and all the bodybuilding world gets it wrong because they're being fueled by supplement companies and nonsense instead of actually going and looking what real athletes are doing, what the best in the world are doing, and what their sports nutritionists have them do. We don't need to experiment with this. Why do you need to experiment? Most people don't have the equipment to experiment. You know, that's like me saying I like to experiment with what I do with hand loads, but you know what? I'm sitting here with a digital scale sitting in front of me that measures stuff very, very exactly. I have chronographs so that I can measure the speed of bullets. I have sound meters so I can tell how much noise they produce. I have equipment. You're not experimenting by looking in the mirror. Okay, experimenting means you've got ways to actually take real measurements. Do something meaningful, and usually not just with one sample of one person. Come on, guys. That's not experimenting. That's just kind of goofing off, hoping you stumble upon something that works. Now he's of course saying, and this seems to be working good. This diet's working good for me. Well, I'm not sure what he means by working good. Working good in what way? He hasn't changed. I mean, has he gotten bigger? Has he lost fat? What's happened? Didn't mention any of that. But the thing is, here's the kicker of what he's really doing. He throws the experiment thing out there just to kind of say, oh, this is what I'm doing, acting like he's trying to do something different. Here's what he's actually doing. He said in the video, well, bodybuilders, a lot of what we do puts a lot of stress on our body and our organs, especially our kidneys. This is a guy who's always been about eating massive amounts of protein, 300, 400, 500 grams of protein. Right? This is a guy who eats hundreds of grams of protein a day, takes tons of drugs. Now he's jumping up saying, oh, I can retain muscle. I can retain muscle just fine on this. I don't need all this protein. Oh, I might be bad for your kidneys. I'm going to experiment. Why do you guys think he's doing that? Rich just had all this situation with cancer. He's been found to have some skin cancer again. He had to quit his bigger by the day experiment because of health implications. You guys think maybe Rich is realizing that his body is breaking apart, that he's breaking it down, that he's killing himself, and he's trying to say, okay, what can I do to act like I'm still trying to keep my muscle? What can I do to continue to make a lot of money off all my public image and my YouTube venture, and trying to reverse some of the damage I've probably done to my body? Because let's be honest here, guys, when we talk about ultra high protein, the sort of protein that bodybuilders are taking in, sometimes 300, 400, 500 grams a day, we don't have long-term human trials on that. We know it could put stress on the kidneys, but here's the thing. Weightlifting, high volume training puts stress on the kidneys. The really high protein puts stress on the kidneys. The drugs put stress on the kidneys. You do have bodybuilders who've lost kidneys, and then the diuretics and stuff they use. Flex Wheeler lost both his kidneys. You think maybe Rich is realizing, you know what? I've got melanomas and stuff. I've got possible skin cancer going on. I didn't even follow up on that. I don't know if he's been diagnosed with full-blown skin cancer or what he's doing with it. He had all sorts of high blood pressure problems and everything else, and doing his bigger by the day. I think maybe he's having some kidney problems show up, and he's saying, hey, I better take care of myself, while at the same time not admitting that he's probably really screwed up his body. I'm wondering if maybe he actually has some real reason to be concerned that he's showing signs of real kidney problems. Well, here's our thing, guys. We're seeing a lot of these really big YouTubers now. We're starting to see some real problems here. We're starting to see problems. Like I said in the other video, C.T. Fletcher doesn't have long to live. And C.T. Fletcher's not going to be lifting weights and stuff. If he does survive and he gets that heart transplant, you guys know he's not going to be doing a bunch of weightlifting on camera for a year, right? The C.T. Fletcher channel is about to be done. Rich Piana has had some serious health problems. He's not going to be in this game much longer, and he's just now saying, oh my God, maybe I need to be concerned with this stuff now. I made videos on that telling him, Rich, you got to back off. And maybe he watched them, maybe he didn't. I'm hoping maybe he did see them, and maybe he's kind of stepping back and realizing he's got problems. Because to drop your protein down, as a guy who's been obsessed with protein, to drop yourself down to 100 grams of protein a day, and say, oh, it's probably better for your kidneys. Who's already having other health problems, that's indicative of some stuff. Maybe Rich is having some real health problems. Maybe Rich Piana not going to be up here on YouTube much longer. Who else has had problems? A few others out there. At a certain point, people are going to have to realize this freak show that people do isn't going to last. Same thing, a lot of these guys, they may not be doing the freaky amounts of drugs. They may not be big. Better look at their diets, their training. These people getting ultra shredded. That damages your organs. That harms your organs to get ultra shredded. It's not good. It's not healthy. How many guys are doing that every year? They're getting just peeled for the camera, for YouTube. I think we're at the point, and it's like I said before, we're going to start seeing some of these YouTubers dropping dead. I feel kind of bad that it looks like CT might be the very first one. Not necessarily happy about that fact because I don't dislike CT Fletcher. And people are kind of surprised to hear that because a lot of the people I do dislike, I don't dislike CT. I don't have a real problem with him. And that's saying I dislike some of the stuff he does. I don't dislike him as a person. It's a big difference. Big difference. Yeah, we're about to start seeing some of these guys dying. CT's not going to be the last one. And it's like I was saying a while back, if Rich continues what he's doing, even if he changes stuff now, the damage that Rich has done to himself might be so high that he doesn't have long left. Boston Lloyd. But that's the ones that's obvious. You got to wonder about some of the others. Maybe it's more subtle. 5-6 years from now, they're going to start dropping out of the game. We're seeing guys doing a lot of stupid training on camera, all having to wrap everything up. They're always hurt, they're sore, their joints hurt, their tendons hurt. They're wrapping everything to get around it. They're going to start snapping stuff. They're going to start snapping stuff. And we have seen some damaged backs and things like that. We've seen some of that. But you guys think back on who all you've seen who's had herniated discs in their back because they don't know how to deadlift correctly. Stuff's out there, man. A lot of guys out here who are supposed to be about fitness are really hurting themselves in a very serious way. And that's the other reason I've been pushing more and more. It's the other reason I'm cutting. I'm doing a lot of cardio. I'm down 20 pounds. I'm hoping to get another swoosh this next week so that the scale goes down further. I probably don't want to walk around with that sort of body weight. I am very probably going to drop down as low as 200 pounds. Not saying that for sure, but I'm working in that direction and I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and I think it's something I could do for a long, long time. The process I'm doing right now to lose weight is a very healthy method, very, very healthy dieting, using a lot of physical activity and cardio, which is good for your heart and everything else, to burn through the extra calories to create a deficit. I'm actually enjoying doing it, and I don't feel that it's difficult. So I'm pushing in that direction myself. We need to see a lot more of that on here because a lot of these guys are hurting themselves. They don't know how to train. They don't know how to eat. People are pushing all these ketogenic diets, people pushing doing no cardio, people pushing ultra high protein, people pushing really bad technique on their exercises. A lot of stuff that gets people hurt the way people train on here. We're going to start seeing more injuries, more illness. We're probably going to start seeing some deaths because everyone wants to do so much stuff to show off and to do something different or do something extreme. And there's a price to pay for that. It's a price to pay. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.